Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him. And today I am facilitating I'm losing track, fifth of 7 sessions of Free from the Yoke. This is a variety of legacy life among the ruins from UFO Press. And if you want to know more about the game and how we've set it up, you really need to go back to session 1 and follow us through. But indeed, a lot has happened in the last 4 sessions. But I will just say that we are playing within our community guidelines in terms of player behaviors and culture. And we're also playing with a set of lines and veils, the X card and the open door as our safety tools. And to be honest, stars and wishes at the end of the session, I increasingly feel is another safety tool because it just gives people a chance to, tell us what was great, what was less great. So I don't think I've got any more to say in terms of introduction. In terms of the game, we are about to turn the age. So we have some housekeeping to do at the end of the current age because we climaxed the mid-season climax last week before there was a kind of 2-month break before the second half of the series was streamed. And we ended that in a significant kind of battle. And so we have some housekeeping to do coming out of that as well. So I want to begin then by just asking people to just say hello and introduce us to their characters as were and their houses as were, and then we'll work forward from there. So as I see you, Dan, say hello, tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to character and house.
Hello, my name is Dan. I go by he and him, and I am playing what's known as the Forgers of the Marbled City. In this world, they are known as the Sparking Chisel and Blazing Mallet. They are eager to help the Arbiter complete its first project of building a road. Things are not going well for them, and that may largely be due to the minor corruption that's happening at the top of their house. I'm also playing young Ambassador Cassie Onyxchip, who has caught wind of this corruption and is hoping maybe for a change in leadership.
Enough said. Joe, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to character and house.
Hello, my name is Joe. Pronouns he, him. I am playing the house, the Horselords of the Steppe, sort of your archetypical nomadic horse peoples. The character I have been playing is Gerel, who at the mid-season climax rode off into legend, and so we will be narrating his glorious tale here shortly, I think.
Great. Jason, say hello, tell us about pronouns, house and character.
Hi, I'm Jason. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing the church named the Shining Path, led by Salah the Wise, and we successfully acquired some resources last week via heist and theft, and Salah evidenced some priorly unknown mystical ability, came to the battle and was shining, and then also trying to steal someone's recruits, as he does. And
brought about the doom of the Arbiter's project. And finally, Alex, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to character and house.
Hi, I'm Alex. My pronouns are he, him. My house in the book is called The Newfound Family. And in this game, it is called The Cursed. They are a group of outsiders who were brought in, whose homeland was destroyed, and were brought in by the previous empire, and who are still looking to figure out their place in the new order. They have tried to be helpful to get the work of the wise accomplished and have been thwarted at every juncture, and now they will continue to try to establish themselves and try to eke out their corner of the sky.
A perfectly reasonable objective. Thank you. So those are our characters and houses at this point. We need a bit of housekeeping because we zoomed into the battle last time, and now, as the game describes, we will zoom out. So we begin with the house move, zooming out. So when you returned to the house level after a mission at the character level, each player whose character wasn't involved. So let me begin with Cassie on its chip. Dan, say what Cassie was doing instead of being at that battle. I mean, we know in game terms she was getting some engineers from a different part of the land and delivering them somewhere. But you get fleeting advantage on your next house move if it capitalizes on your character's activity. What's Cassie been doing?
Cassie's arrived at Kasthera, which is a small settlement at the base at the top of the world. That's where she's delivered the engineers, and her I don't know which house move this will be, but her intent is to gather allies to try and take down the two sparring leaders of Chisel and Mallet. And trying to root out some of that corruption. I think she's maybe given up on the road, but she's definitely thinking she needs to get her house in order.
Fine. I'm thinking that might be hold together or subterfuge is my feeling about that, where you get advantage that way. The cursed were also not at the battle, Alex. So what has Elina been doing? That, you know, if you can capitalize on that, then you will get fleeting advantage on the next house move.
Elina has been greatly disturbed by the presence of an old foe of her people's, known as what did we call them?
The marauding serpents.
Yes, the marauding serpents. And she has decided to not waste time and take the bull by the horns. And she's gathered a small group of people she trusts and who can move quickly and stealthily through the wild, and is going to see if she can find these serpents and figure out what their goals, if any, are, and if they are in fact a threat to her people as they were in the past.
I'm thinking off the top of my head, that sounds like the house getting advantage on read the wind. So that's zoom out dealt with. Thank you. Alex, you because Elina wasn't at the battle, you played one of the agents of the wise, the fist of the wise last time. And one of the benefits that came out of the battle for you was that the fist salvaged, and I think we wrote something down, just so I get the phrasing right. The fist took away a useful piece of gear from the battle with the risen dead. So what gear do you want to have taken, or do you want to give that a bit of thought?
I have given it a small bit of thought, and I've come up with something. I have a question though, which is that we haven't really looked into, and I apologize, I haven't really looked into how rituals work in the game and how they are acquired and how they are used. So specifically how they are acquired, I'd like the thing that they find to be something to do with a ritual that has not been discovered as of yet, that is a new ritual, and that is open for anybody to exploit, but probably has something to do with summoning the dead.
Well, yeah, I'm very happy for the piece of gear that you retrieve to have a ritual attached to it. Yeah?
Yeah, it is maybe a focus.
Exactly
maybe
so.
A banner. How about a banner?
Oh, a banner of the dead.
Yes.
Of the Imperial dead. Okay.
Yeah.
With ritual attached.
Yes.
Just write that down. Write that down on the fist, down in the notes at the bottom of the fist character sheet, character tab, and we can flesh that out when it matters. A banner of the Imperial dead with a ritual attached. Oh, I love that. Gosh, I can see the dead walking again. So that's that one dealt with. We come now to Gerel, hero of the Horselords, who stepped into the breach when the Khan of Khans, Ashagambu, who knows why, attended a festival in Altariq rather than lead the clans into battle against the army of the Imperial Dead. And you know, his reputation has suffered as a result. There's no question about that. Instead, Gerel and his old companion, whose name has now escaped me, but it will come back to me in a moment, Veng, instead led the clans and crushed the Imperial Dead. So this cost Gerel his life. He had, of course, been transformed by the land into a centaur before that happened. So when you die, say what travelers who know you tell of your life and death. Over to you, Joe.
Yeah, so I think they speak of the heroic sacrifice and how Gerel's sacrifice galvanized the Horselords around, you know, bringing them together again.
Okay. And brought them
And like
together.
any tall tale, it was not just a centaur, it was like a 9-foot tall centaur.
Well, you know, this giant centaur as a giant centaur. Okay, so what I've got so far then, folks, is I've got Gerel made an heroic sacrifice that galvanized the Horselords, brought them together, and that was largely because of his transformation into this giant centaur stallion. Okay, so let me go to Dan. How is that story changed or added to when it's told by the Chisel and Mallet, or what do they hear about this?
When word gets to the Chisel and Mallet, they hear that in fact a number of that Gerel himself had done a ritual to change himself into a centaur to do this, and it in fact had changed several troops into centaurs as well. So it was sort of he had granted magic powers to a bunch of people, transformations to a bunch of people.
Which he kind of did, though they weren't transformed into centaurs, but that's what happens with legends. What about Jason? What do the Shining Path say of Gerel's end? Add to or change what we have already?
I think they say that he honestly, I'm not thinking of anything.
Well, take a pass for now. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Alex, what are you thinking? How do the cursed? What is the true story of all of this? What do you want to change or add in the story we have so far?
Yeah, I've got nothing at the moment. I'm sorry, I'm still waking up. Apologies.
It is, yeah, just for my own ego, Alex, tell people what time it is where you are.
It's not that early. It's 6:21 a.m.
Blows my mind. Thank you, my friend. Okay, well, we will come back because Gerel's story must be finished before this age transforms. Now we need to look at consequences of the doom, because the various activities of Salah and his group of motivated individuals was to pretty much stop more resources arriving at the great city, so that the highway of the wise could finally kind of get moving. So yeah, that project is doomed. So if I direct you now to the Wise tab, you will see that in column AE, down on a row 30, 33 or so, no, lower than that, 45, 46, 47. If doom fills first, and it did, the construction's abandoned. We know that the Chisel Mallet had successfully negotiated by the end of that spring of 21 AVN, AVW rather. We know that they had negotiated for the people who were occupying the Ashen Ward to move out, so it could be cleared as the starting point for the road. So I have put a ruin cross on our campaign map to show that the Ashen Ward is currently demolished. But that's about as far as it gets. There is some desultory road building, but nothing significant. So each player picks one, and there are 5 bullet points down there. You could pick the same one as other people. Okay. Dan, I feel that the Chisel and Mallet had a lot invested in the success of the highway. They were the ones who delivered most resource, tried to deliver more resource, but seemed to be thwarted at every turn. So which one of those options is true? You'll notice, folks, that some of them have, well, all of them have a consequence, a mechanical consequence.
This is cool. Yeah, not only the Chisel and Mallet, but Dan also had a lot of emotionally invested in that road. So I feel these are great options, and these are very hard to choose. It is very hard to choose. I think the obvious one is the last one, which is the saboteurs and anarchists strike at your house, encouraged by their victory over the construction. And we're gonna need some defenses, but learn some tricks to get them, so we get 1 slight. On the other hand, I also like the second one, which is the collapse of the Arbiter's dream drives you to withdraw and focus on your own traditions, which I feel that in my bones. And I'm kind of interested in getting a new move and losing a favor. So you said we can all pick the same one. If
yeah, the multiple picks are allowed here. It's
all right,
not
so
exclusive.
I won't ask if I'm taking someone else's. So I'm going to do the second one.
Okay.
Collapse of the Arbiter's dream gives you makes us withdraw. So typical.
Oh dear, how sad. Well, that fits with Cassie setting up this kind of alternate center of activity in the, relatively speaking, from the great city, the middle of nowhere. So yeah, choose yourself a new move, but lose 1 favor.
All righty.
I think I should go next to the Shining Path, because if Chisel and Mallet had a lot wrapped up in the success of the project, Shining Path, or should I say Salah and his cohorts inside the Shining Path, were very keen to see this come to an end. So I think I'll go to Salah and the Shining Path next, Jason. Which of those do you think is true?
I'm going to go with the Arbiter stops investing in infrastructure, stranding you in the hinterlands. Gain need, trade, but get 1 grass as your neighbors turn to you.
Fine. So, I mean, the way I'm interpreting that is that, you know, the Wise were looking to improve communications within the land, pardon me, and presumably in that way actually generate some connections to the surrounding peoples and nations. And all of that has ground to a halt with the collapse of the road building project. And that would explain why, in particular, the Shining Path now feel the need of trade, but gain a bit of grasp. Okay, the other people who had most wrapped up in the road building project, I think, were the cursed, Alex. You know, they sent a pilgrimage of grace across the country to provide labor for this, only to be suborned by missionaries of the Shining Path. So which one of those attracts you?
So I think the cursed will see this the failure of the road as an opportunity for themselves and an opportunity to establish themselves further. I think they are looking, now that the road has been destroyed, to become the main traders, with a D, not with a T, of the area, and to use their far-flung settlements and groups, and the fact that they are already partially nomadic, to kind of move between the settlements and provide a not the equivalent of what the road would have done, but their own, but something that they can profit from and establish themselves more in. So I think that fits in most closely with you know what I'm going to say. Never mind. I was it fits most closely to if the progress track got filled.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes.
Yes. I'm going to say that I'm going to pick you gave the newly unemployed builders a place to work. They need coin and surplus engineers. So what they did is the people who they were working with on the road now didn't have a project to work on. So they said, you know what we could really use? The shanties in Al-Tariq are in a truly terrible state, and that needs to be remedied. And you need to come, and we need to build up the shanties, increase infrastructure, and perhaps make the beginnings of a trade system there, a trade hub. That
I like that, because we
that
know
over the course of the next age will be developed.
because we know that Al-Tariq is a destination for pilgrims now. We know that people travel from the south, so that would be a logical place to create a cosmopolitan marketplace. So make a note of those changes, please, Alex, in respect to the cursed. And finally, Joe, the Horselords were probably least tightly bound to the road project, but you still get to make a pick.
So funny enough, I had thoughts about the same two that Dan did, and fictionally the withdraw feels very like, focus on their own traditions and stuff. But I had an idea that about the last one that's not exactly how it's written, but I just want to throw this out there and
Make me an offer.
So instead of saboteurs and anarchists striking at your house, what I was thinking is that the Shining Path, because they helped in that battle, there are sects of adherents to the Shining Path that have kind of popped up in the, it's taken hold within the Horselords. Right now, there's this subgroup that saw because if I remember correctly, they were pivotal in sort of the battle as well. And regardless of all of the propaganda around the army of Centaurs that destroyed the undead, there were those that were there that saw what Salah did. And so I thought I thought that might fit into that one right there. If that and I don't know if defenses is right, but
I don't think it is. I think need attunement, because attunement is a kind of connection to the spiritual.
Yeah.
And that's either you could pivot that towards further attunement to the Shining Path or attunement to the land.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Does that, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, but I thought that whole would be kind of interesting to explore, that the Shining Path.
You're right. I think you're right.
Okay, that one then.
And I am inclined. I think that if you've got sects within a house, I think that is going to drive a little bit more expertise in the secret stuff. So I think +1 sleight still flies.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, now then we're not finished with the disaster of the road, because now we go to column VW, down about the same row in the 40 somewhere. When a project is due, pick one for each house with positive favor. That's me. Or is that you? How does that play? I tell you what, I'm going to let you do it. I'm much more interested in you do it. So let me go back round, same order, I think. Dan, when a project is due, picked one for each house with positive favor. Do you have positive favor?
Not anymore.
Okay, you don't get to pick.
I'm sorry, Alan, I'm not seeing where you are looking.
Oh, sorry. Okay, if you go to the wise.
Go to the wise.
And it's the kind of cult block across from if doom fills first.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you with it?
Yes.
Oh, so if you don't have positive favor, you don't get to play. Salah, what's the state of play of the Shining Path?
+1.
+1. Which of those would you like to apply?
Well, it's too bad about that point of control you lost.
Okay, so normally at the beginning of an age, control resets to 5. At the next age, it will reset to 4.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or that's the way I'm reading it. Okay. Let's go next to the cursed, Alex. Which have you got positive favor at the minute?
I seem to, yes.
Then which of those? And you could have the same one again if you want it.
I apologize. I'm still looking for where you are.
I'm sorry. Okay, so the tab is the wise.
Yes.
And then if you go along to column V.
Yes.
And down to row 41, I think.
Yes.
When a project is doomed, pick one. Yeah. So I'm offering you the chance to pick because you've got positive favor.
What's a line of power?
Right. I added these to the campaign map. Might be worthwhile just summoning that up. A line of power. I've established some lines of power on the map, which are represented by these dotted lines connecting the statues, because I think that I took the opportunity to have the fist reveal that the statues on the boundaries of the land of the wise, these kind of abstract symbols here, were built at the location where monoliths used to stand in the distant olden days. One of those monoliths continues to exist, and it has a strong line of power running to it. But the other lines of power are less strong, presumably because those statues are not the original monoliths. Maybe if they could be replaced with monoliths all over the world, I don't know. But I think that the way we were pitching it was that the weakness of those lines of power was why the imperial dead were able to rise. The land could not keep them in the ground because those powers from outside the land were penetrating into it. So if you wanted to remove one, that would weaken the defenses in my kind of fiction, weaken the defenses of the land.
Okay.
And if you are interested in that one, you just have to tell me which one. So, is it the one around the kind of diamond, which of the statues? Quite what the statue in the middle of the land does, yet to be revealed. Or you can choose an entirely different one.
Sorry, I'm looking at them. None of them are jumping out at me at the moment. No, let's okay. Let's do enact a new law.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
So just
And that's an in-world law, right? That is not a game concept.
no, well, it's a law in the sense of if you go across one column to the left, you'll just see arbiter customs. There are laws. Currently, there is only one arbiter law in place. And that is no house may teach a ritual from their traditions to another house without the arbiter's permission. There are two other laws there, or you could create one.
Okay, can I give that a thought?
You can.
Okay, I'd like to choose that column.
Okay. And finally, I can't remember whether the Jezdec have
They do.
are
Yeah, we're +1.
okay. So which one of those do you want when a project is doomed?
So if we choose lose an arbiter move, what does that mean? Basically, one of these up here become unavailable to the arbiter, or the one that, you know,
Either or both.
Okay.
So you can choose to make arbiter move number 4 there, the one in force of ignorance, when a house brings an artifact, blah, blah, blah. You could take that one out, or you can take one of the other ones out and leave the arbiter with that move.
You'd think, being last, this would have been easier.
No, I mean there's lots of there's lots of picks here.
Yeah. And like some of them feel more narrative and some feel more mechanical, right? And so that's the and bring story into things. I was gonna pick new law, but I'll let Alex do that. Let's shrink a settlement.
Oh yes, the great city.
Yeah.
The great city shrinks because that's the largest settlement we've got. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this large city with, I'm going to put a town symbol over it. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Hang on. Let's try that again. There we go. Try that. And I will shrink that image I will change that image on our map to reflect its shrunken nature. The economy, so much was invested in the idea of the highway that the great city is just shrunken, perhaps not helped by certain arms of the Chisel and Mallet shifting their center of operations down. That seemed to me to be trying to work out who's in charge at the top. Seems to be creating an alternate center of power. Okay, so I think that deals with all the consequences of the doom of the project. We are now going to turn the age. So this time I need you to check out the favor, time, and turmoil tab. The favor, time, and turmoil tab.
Alun?
Yeah.
Sorry, may I ask one more question?
You may.
So I'm still obviously thinking about what laws need to be enacted.
Okay.
I'm a little confused conceptually how this flows from the project being doomed. So,
well, I mean, my spin on this would be that the wise and their instruments on Earth, concerned at this failure of their project, wants to get a firmer grip on the people. You know, if we think about if you go all the way up to the top of column V, arbiter reactions, Evoke the glories of the faded past, reward those who show wisdom and discretion, reveal a forgotten truth, or appeal to tradition or authority. Clamp down. The reason the highway failed was because of this newfangled thinking. We need to get back to basics. I imagine a set of conclaves where the listeners of the wise have been spouting that. Does that help?
Yeah. Could it be that the wise now insists that each of the houses send a representative to a meeting that meets once a season, let's say? And
we kind of got that already, in the sense that there is every season there's holding court.
I see.
So you will all, every house will be invited. Some may be beneath notice, we don't know yet. But so there is that. I think this needs to be something that makes life difficult for houses and or characters. Because that would seem to, because if you look at the other examples, no house may celebrate a holiday introduced by the Empire. No house's sacred space may be raided or damaged. They're kind of they're control mechanisms, the law, I think.
Okay. Sorry, still haven't quite figured it out.
Fine, that's okay. Keep contemplating, and we'll move to favor, time, and turmoil, turning of ages. When the Arbiter's doom, when the Arbiter's project its doom comes to pass, this age is over. Paying your debts, all power is pulled from the land, and the land will claim its power back if its health suffers. Each house answers these questions and rolls 2 dice, modifying the result according to their answers. Okay. I think I'll change the order. I've been starting with Dan. I'm going to go to the Shining Path, Jason, first. Because I think there are some potentially interesting answers that the Shining Path has at play here. How did you manage your land? Get +1 if you tended and cared for it, -1 if you neglected or became estranged from it. Which one do you think applies?
I think I get the +1, because I think when we ended, I was marching home with a caravan of recruits, marble, and raw materials.
Yes, yeah, the product of your nefarious heisting, among other things. Okay, so I'll give you +1 for that. How did you treat the spirits of the land?
I think last week we established that, like, my mother's spirit had come to me and told me to go to the battle, and I did so, and I had that magical power. So I would say maybe +1.
I'll go with that. How has your house come together? +1 if you rediscovered old customs and found new ones, -1 if you spurned your community or descended into infighting.
I don't know. What do you think? I
have to say
strongly about either one of these.
I think that the way that Salah kind of factionalized and got the chief priest taken out, and clearly was trying to make connections to other little groups within the church. I think that feels like a more infighting than community effort.
Okay. Yeah, I can go with that.
So -1 for that. So you're rolling +1. The dice roller is in the lines and veils tab.
Yep.
By the way.
All right, here we go. So +1 gives me an 8.
An 8. On 7 to 9, pick 1. Forget a ritual from your traditions. Add a new condition to all your rituals. Your land withers, gain need crops. Spirits haunt you, gain need attunement. You must commit yourself to overthrowing the Arbiter. Put the Insurrection Arbiter project in play.
Well, to the table, do we feel like playing that Insurrection Arbiter? Or is it too early for that? Or should I pick something else? Any opinions?
That's just his house, right?
Well, I think what that does is it would establish the Arbiter's project for the next age would be Insurrection.
Yeah.
Which basically means it would be me and whoever else I can coerce into joining me against the Arbiter.
Okay.
Yeah, it would create factions within the land. And I think it's a legitimate question to ask the table whether that is the way you want to spend the next 2.5 sessions.
If not, that's fine. I'll pick something else. Because otherwise it'll be like we did last time. Alun will pick a project, whether it's I forget the list of his projects, or we could force him to have to fight against us, or you could join his side. Doesn't matter how you want to spend our time. Does anybody have an opinion of what we do?
What,
No.
Joe? That looks like your kind of. Dan, what are you thinking?
I mean, it sounds fascinating. In some ways, this opens up a much bigger question of that, Alun, you had introduced last time, which is, are we going longer?
Are we going to go longer?
December?
Yeah.
I'm in. So if there is desire to do it, then I could see doing one more regular project, and then doing the insurrection too. But that commits us to a longer.
It does. But I'm just tinkering my diary at the minute. My hope is to be able to continue this in January.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that in mind, then.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing about the insurrection too, just to put this on the table, is that if we succeed in overwhelming the arbiter, then the house that led the insurrection becomes the new arbiter, and then they either become the GM, which of course we wouldn't do that, or they pick a new house, and then their house becomes the arbiter's house. So that's another interesting tidbit of the mechanics. What do we want to do? You know what? Let me just pick something else. Let's not do the insurrection yet. I think it's a little too early. Unless someone's really into it.
I'm not hearing anyone but you really into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't interacted enough with the current order in order to want to like upend it all.
Yeah. I think we've gotten a shot across the bows, but it's a little early for the full-on contest. I think I like the spirits haunt you, gain need attunement.
Fine. Spirits haunt you.
I think just to put this out there, I'm looking ahead. I think my long-term project is to sort of like return these holy sites, to the church, and we have this corruption right in the middle of the path out to our holiest of holiest sites. So I maybe those spirits are sort of causing a lot of problems. So what do I get? Need attunement. Okay.
And I've just made a note down at the bottom of your notes. Second age, spirits haunt you. That's just an aid memoir to me, so I don't forget that narratively we have spirits haunting you in the game. Okay, let me go next to Joe.
Before I answer those questions, I wanted to ask, when we held court at the beginning of this stuff, the Horselords had where we were asked by the wise to deal with a threat.
You were.
And it says if you do it by the end of the season, you gain 1 favor. So I was wanting to, I assume we consider that having been dealt with,
did.
right?
You did.
Okay. I didn't want to.
No, you don't want to lose that. No.
Okay. So
thanks for the reminder. So questions. How did you manage the land? +1 if you tended and cared for it, -1 if you neglected or became estranged from it.
So I guess where my head was at, I don't necessarily feel like we neglected anything. I think I could argue that ridding the land of the leading the charge of the undead would have been tending and caring for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way to avoid that being +1.
How did we treat the spirits? So I had 2 thoughts about this one. One is we did that ritual, which caused us to do that. But also it says right here, get -1 if you feared them or used them as tools. Is using a ritual and doing that, using them as a tool?
No. I mean, how personal a connection do you want than being fused with a stallion of the gods.
Yeah. Okay.
2 up.
And how has your house come together? I definitely don't think. Well, so now with this new thing, I think maybe -1 here because I don't of the. Well, see, originally I was leaning towards yes, we've caused ourselves to rediscover our traditions, but now I'm leaning it also having this. We have this group of Shining Path adherents among us, so.
I could go either way.
I mean, is it possible to just not get the +1 or the -1 and just, I don't know. It doesn't.
No, you have to make a pick. So you're either going to be rolling with +2, +3, or +1.
I don't know. Somebody else throw an opinion in here because I don't want to be Mr. Gamer it.
Look, well, look. My 2 penneth worth. I think that what happened was that Asher Gambu went off to the festival, but the clans fell in behind Gerel. I think that was a unifying force. And
Okay.
for all that certain, members of the Pilgrims or of whoever else have been taken up with the Shining Path, that's what's going to happen in this age. I think at the end of this age, I think that's another +1, personally. So roll +3.
All right, I won't argue anymore with you about lots of pluses. 10.
10. On a 10, pick none. 7 9 pick 1, 6 minus pick 2. You don't get to pick any of those bad things. Okay. Let's go next to the cursed, Alex. How did you manage your land? Get +1 if you tended and cared for it, -1 if you neglected or became estranged from it. What do you think?
I think we're in the process of tending and caring for it, which is, but I don't know if that means that we should get it or if that's something that we get next time. Or
look, I'll be honest with you. I think that these questions are so vaguely phrased that the answer you give should be influenced by whether you want to be rolling with plus or you want to be rolling with minus. So at the root of this, I think, is do you want to end up picking one or more of those things in bullet points? In which case you spin towards the -1, or do you want to be rolling with pluses to try to avoid those bullet points, in which case you can spin, because they're incredibly vague. Deliberately so, I think. And we all know that history belongs to the people who tell it. So, what is the story being told by the cursed? Are they saying, we were all for the land and, we wanted to succeed with the highway? +1. We failed to build a highway? -1. Pays your money, takes your choice.
Yeah, I think I'll take the +1 there then.
Okay. What about how did you treat the spirits? Perhaps less scope in this.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, to be honest with you, and you can't pick 0 in this, right?
No.
Yeah. I'd say the latter more. I feared them and used them as tools.
That's my feeling, because I don't think you engaged a great deal with the whole ritual thing.
No.
So probably that, if we think of this fictionally, that's driven by a fear of the unknown, perhaps, or So I go for that. So at the minute we're rolling flat. How has your house come together?
No, I think we've rediscovered old customs and found new ones. I think, kind of wanting to turn the house more towards trade and looking to improve its status among the other houses. I think that is more of a +1.
So do I. 2d6 +1.
All right.
Eight. Pick one from those bullet points.
Well, I can't forget a ritual because I don't have any.
Where you're down to physical or spiritual withering,
Yeah,
unless you want to trigger an insurrection. I think we've moved on from that as a possibility.
and yeah, I'm gonna say the land withers need crops. I think we've been focusing too much on the wrong thing, and in response, we have been neglecting our basic needs, you know, short-sightedness and all that.
Fine.
So I think that the cursed will get need crops.
Fine. Well, not fine, but you know what I mean. We'll come on to the second bit of this move once we've gone around this one. And that, I think, leaves me with the Chisel and Mallet, Dan.
Sorry, Alan, just one last question. At the beginning of this session, you asked me to note what had happened, and I've not found a place.
Sorry, go on.
I have not found a place where I can make just general notes about the house.
If you go down to row 88, Big Keeper, you'll find notes including rituals learned, and I've just copied in there. Second age, your land withers, gain need crops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, so Chisel and Mallet. How did you manage your land? Tended and cared, or neglected and estranged?
I'm going to make a pitch for tended and cared. We were trying to be diligent about the needs of the arbiter, and we were trying to not, we were mindful of kind of building a road in this natural world. So
yeah, absolutely. You know, land is wise is land.
Yeah.
+1.
I'm going to make a pitch for we sought the company of spirits and formed personal connections through the rituals that Cassie did to help with making a connection to the river folk.
I'll go for that. +2.
Although we are dealing with some minor infighting, I do feel like our effort to become better builders made us rediscover old customs and find new ones.
I'm prepared to go with that. Roll +3.
I feel like the Chisel and Mallet need a little bit of a boost after, you know, the crap they went through. All right. 12.
Then no downside to this turning of the age. Things are rolling along, so far as we know so far. So I think that's taken us around that first part. Now, the second part is update the saga. Each player gives the broad story of their family through the age. So, you know, in the 20 years that are going to pass between the battle against the Imperial, the army of the Imperial Dead, and the start of this second age, you're going to tell a story. And this allows you to change doctrine, lifestyle, and or customs for the house. Yeah. So you might just want to have check that out. If you go to your house tab, you will find that starting on about row 15, 16, doctrine and lifestyle. And customs are up on row 6. So this could change the way that you are ruled. It could change the nature of the population. It could change the nature of the culture, doctrine, and lifestyle. So this can really kind of, over 20 years, these houses could change significantly, is what I'm pitching at here. Yeah. So let me think. Who haven't I started with? I haven't started with you, Joe. So let's kick off with the Horselords.
Okay.
Do you want to alter any of your customs? So rule, populace, or culture?
Yes. So fictionally, part of this coming together, the giving up of the old ways. I can't even remember my own person's Gambu.
Asha
Gambu, sorry. Is no longer the face of and it is there was a wresting of power, and it is Gerel's granddaughter, someone named Tamura that is now, and I am changing rule to the mightiest always rule.
Great. In terms of populace, are the clans still spread across the whole steppe to seek their means of life?
I think so. I was toying with every citizen is mounted ready for war because of this battle and everything, but I think clans are spread across is good still.
And what about culture? Are you still boisterous, warlike, but always welcoming in peacetime?
Yes, we're gonna stick with that one.
Okay. I'm going to go through each of you and ask those three questions, and then come back to lifestyle and doctrine. So let's move on to Chisel Mallet. Customs, populace, and culture.
There's a lot going on here. All right, so I'm going to stick with rule because that's a story I want to play out. Populace. I think we're going to start to think about the people wielding the power. I think there's some frustration with kind of the nobility structure in our house, and I think we're kind of over statues. I think the failure of the road left a pretty bad taste in our mouths, and so we're gonna do I don't know if it's opulence so much as well-crafted jewelry. Smaller pieces are
great opulence sounds a little blingy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's not
appropriately opulent.
Right. Yes, appropriately opulent, well-crafted, but smaller pieces. Yes.
Okay. So a movement out of statuary into, fine art, really,
yes.
Fine pieces. Okay. Let me go next to the Shining Path. Is the Shining One the church's divinely anointed ruler still?
No, I think broadly first, I think what happens with the Shining Path over this generation is that we sort of withdraw from most of the other cultures and become very insular, and Salah usurps the power. So I think I'm going to change rule to through princes have reigned before, now the primate and church hold power. So Salah's a little bit of an autocrat. I think we'll keep populace and culture the same, though.
Okay, fully half the population live in monasteries, mastering crafts as well as prayer, and no expensive spares decorating churches, and art patronage is a religious duty. Well, it's about time you started getting on with the Chisel and Mallet, it seems to me, because they are very well placed to do some decorating.
You know what? Let's change culture. Sorry. Austere and cold, the arts must labor under the guidance of the church. That sounds a little more appropriate.
What can the Chisel and Mallet do?
Just lost another customer.
Oh, wow. Oh, so yeah, I'm seeing generations of well, not generations, but people stripping it. This is Catholicism to Protestantism. This is stripping the color and the gold and getting back to the stone. Oh, how very austere. Okay, let us finally go to the cursed. Alex, currently elected voices of the people. Has your experiment with democracy worked? And if so, you're going to stick with it?
I don't think I've had a very strong feeling one way or the other of it working or not working. And they're certainly not more unified than they were before. So I think they're going to stick with that because that's fine.
Maybe they've elected a Speaker of the House to try and, tighten up process. But yeah, no, fine. Populace. You were working together to win the prestige you deserve. Is that still what the populace is about?
I can see, I can see that one either, or tensions arising between the young and the old, wanting to assimilate and versus holding on to their old ways. Although I could see that if they became more established in this land, that their attention might start to arise between those that want to hold on to the old traditions and those that just want to assimilate. But I feel like that's not happened yet.
Okay.
So maybe
So
keep that one the same too.
Still,
Um,
in Britain, we'd say they're still a little bit chippy, slightly chipped on the shoulder, not yet recognised with the prestige they deserve.
Oh, completely.
What about culture? We must work to keep our home in our hearts, for we shall return one day.
This one I'd like to change.
Okay, what do you want?
I want to change it. I think they now realize that they're probably not going to go back. And I'm going to say that combine the best parts of the heritage with the strengths of the new land to make something new is maybe the direction they would like to go in from here on out.
That sounds like part of the exercise you've been on, if I'm honest. I think that works nicely. Okay, now I'm noticing it's 8 minutes past the hour. I'm going to suggest we take a break now and then come back. And in the same order, we'll work through doctrine, lifestyle, and then there is a final stage where you get to add some stuff to the map. Okay, so shall we back at 15:15? Is that long enough? Okay, see you then. Okay, back from our break. I've remembered that I've got a couple of house moves falling out of the first age after that zoom out. So Dan, the Chisel and Mallet, Cassie was doing a little bit of digging, I think, in terms of the factional balances inside the Chisel and Mallet.
Should I be thinking that this is happening just before the turning of the age? Or...
I think so. I think so. So, or she spent the last 20 years digging. It's up to you.
So I'd like to do one very quick house move, call in a debt, because I've got some influence over Shining Path, and I think I'm pretty sure I do. And I would like to cash in one of those influences to take a surplus from them.
Which one?
Object. There's so many to choose from, but I am kind of excited to take prestige from them. Jason, any concerns with that?
Well, if Jason has concerns, he can roll hold together to resist.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. What's your favor? Is it 0 or +1?
It's now -1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll roll hold together to try to keep my prestige. I think I just roll even.
So
and then you
mood.
roll with mood. This all happened before what we just did though, kind of, right? So like my need attunement isn't there. And also I had added coin that for one of my moves for the change of age. So actually my mood should be 0.
It is.
It's all the same. So I'm rolling +0. Here we go. 8. Hold together. On a hit, you must mostly remain okay. Pick one. Lose people, get need recruits. Another house or faction comes through to help you, give them influence. The danger hasn't passed so much as shifted into a different, more manageable problem. Say what it is. I think we hold on to our prestige, but we do it through becoming even more more sort of totalitarian and using.
Is this what drove the more autocratic structure?
Right. I think the factionalism has been countered by Salah and the government by becoming, like I said, more sort of totalitarian and having sort of a police state sort of environment.
Okay.
Do I lose the influence regardless?
I think you do. Lose your influence, call in a debt. Yeah, you called for it, but we held together.
That sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, then we are now without prestige and 1 influence shorter. But Cassie is going to. These are house moves that she needs to do. I think. She's been trying to organize in the city that she's in, and I'm thinking hold together is probably the best?
Well, narratively, what are you wanting the outcomes to be? Because the thing about hold together is generally speaking, you won't get far. Because I've been thinking about this. If you, for instance, if you wanted to know what was happening at the top of the Chisel Mallet, you wanted to identify a target, for instance, that could be read the wind. Or if you wanted to frame someone, I mean, I'm taking from the Shining Path playbook here, subterfuge, where, say what they try to do, we try to make sure that one of the, either Chisel or Mallet is the bad guy, and then we shift blame to them. Do you see what I mean? Because after I said holding together, I then read it, and there is very little. You have to get a 10+ to get anything good out of that. So just mechanically, I want you to know what the balance of risk is.
Yeah, okay, that's helpful. Hang on just a sec. Let me look one more time. My sleight is not very good, is the problem. Is actually bad.
What's your reach like if you wanted to
reach
read
is
the wind?
quite good, is a +2.
And remember, you are rolling with advantage because Cassie's
yes.
efforts during the battle give you a baseline.
Let me just look at hold together one more time. So if I'm rolling with advantage and my mood is +2, it's a bit of a gamble. Otherwise, I can read the wind.
And remember, you can also you could ask for somebody now to work with you. When you involve yourself in the actions of a house you have influence over, lose 1 influence and pass them the dice to use as. But you could look for help now. Oh no, you've already got advantage. No, that doesn't work. Sorry. No, I think balance of probabilities. Over to you, Dan.
Yeah, I want to gain something more than just information.
Okay.
But read the wind lets me potentially add to the map.
It does.
On a 10+. All right. So I will read the wind.
Roll plus reach with advantage.
Letting me talk through that. So I rolled a 9 + 2 is 11.
11. Well, look at that. On a 10+, so on a hit, you get an answer to your question. Sorry, I should have asked you what the question was.
Yeah. We hang on just one more moment. We took a new move. Sorry, we are going in a slightly different direction than I had anticipated. Let me ask this. How do we gain surplus prestige? There we go.
Okay.
We cannot influence it away, indent it away from them.
Okay. So on a hit, you get the answer to your question. I think the logical answer to the question is either, I'll offer you this one, either you need to make the knowledge of the mysterious metal public, and kind of begin to make big on it, or I think you need to have built, decorated, made something wonderful, either by repairing something that's already on the map or adding something.
Okay.
Does that, do those either of those appeal?
Yeah, I love you're asking me to pick right now.
Well, I'm prepared to put that on the table, but I would like to know what it is, because you are going to put it on the map before we kind of get.
I kind of like the idea of the mystery, the metal thing, and I like that Cassie is going to use that to try and undermine this kind of corruption in the house, within the house.
Okay, well,
I believe that to unify everyone.
what I'm going to suggest then is that you add surplus mysterious metal to your list and locate it at the crater for now.
Okay.
And I will put that on the map as now a public resource that people can begin to maneuver for if they want to.
Okay. So what
Yeah,
I'm
but
adding that to my list of
you're adding that to your list of surpluses. I think that's the
Alright.
simplest way to deal with that. Because that you're the only person who knows about the crater, so it is yours. It's just nobody else knew about it until now.
Yep.
Seem fair?
Sure.
And that will increase your mood by 1 for what it's worth, I think. Let me then ask Alex, what Elina was scouting to find out more about the marauding serpents. I think that is probably read the wind, unless you've got something else in mind.
I looked over the generic house moves and know that makes the most sense at the moment.
Okay, so which of those questions is closest to the one you actually want to ask? Or you ask me the one you really want to ask, and I'll do my best to fit into one of those questions.
Yeah, what are the movements of a particular group, or maybe movements / aims of a particular group?
Yeah, I'm prepared. Yeah, I'm prepared to allow you to kind of divine aims from a pattern of movement over time. So you are rolling plus reach, but you're rolling with advantage because of Elena's zoom out bonus.
All right, so that's
3d6.
3d6 plus 1.
3d6, take the top 2 plus 1.
Yeah.
Oh, will you look at that? That's an 11
That's-
plus 1 is a 12.
Yeah.
If only this was a game that gave a bonus on 12. So you get to answer your question. I think the aims of the serpents are to conquer the land. Because what Elena finds is that if, in terms of the campaign map, I've known this from the start, but do you see the river that runs round the edge of the Great Steppe and disappears off the north end of the map? Well, it connects to the Riverlands. And so the marauders are using the Riverlands as a way to reach the east. And from there, of course, they can go inland along all those rivers that run into the mountains, to the great city, to the top of the world, and they can get directly to the top of the world or that area because there's river connections from the Riverland. So I think that the movements are, you find them probing all those river routes, ostensibly on trading missions. But that's what's going on. Now, on a 10 plus, you can also mark the map with a sign of your answer. Any thoughts? You know, do you want them to have established a trading post of some description somewhere?
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that.
So
I think that's a good idea.
So where would you like to put it?
To make it more interesting and maybe involve an aspect of the supernatural, let us say that it is around. So, cat is accessing keyboard. Stop that. Let us say it is around one of the non-monolith monoliths that you've placed on the map.
Okay. Where would you like it to be? That one?
Perhaps the one closest to the river lines then?
So up there on the northwest. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So if you just pop a marker down, or I'm very happy to do it because I know that you've got you know, your the way that Google is treating your keyboard and Mac is not ideal. So do you want me to pop a point of interest up there on the far?
Sure, please.
Because I can do it with a couple of clicks. There we go. I'm going to put it right there. See it up top left?
Yeah, looks good.
And we will call that hang on, let's put that up there. That is the Serpent Trading Post.
I'd like to, if I may, I'd
Go on.
like to suggest that they are rebranding themselves. Now they are trying very hard to seem like they are not the serpents, but they are in fact an entirely different group of people, or maybe an offshoot of the serpents that no longer wish to do battle with anyone.
Well, look, I tell you what, I'm gonna put that one on the shelf for now. You've added the trading post. We can draw our own conclusions at this point. There is an option where you get to add some stuff to the map or do a bit of tinkering before we finish the Turn of the Age.
Okay.
So we might come back to that one. So I think that I finally remembered to wrap up those zoom out moves. Great. So let us get back to Doctrine and Lifestyle. I've entirely forgotten where I am in terms of the sequence, and now I'm going to do it in the order I can see you till I establish a new one. So, Joe, in terms of the Horselords, Doctrine, currently you are always prepared for war. The dangers of steppe living mean you are always ready to ride. You can use martial surpluses even if they're dispersed. Sticking with that?
We are sticking with that.
And Lifestyle, the finest mercenaries. Your house uses their warlike might to earn vital resources. At the end of each season, gain surplus wealth if you're currently fighting on someone else's behalf.
I think that given that they are refocusing on their traditions and things, we are not going to go out and sell our swords so much, and we are going to be switching to nomadic remnants.
Okay.
Kind of, for me, fits into this rediscovering their roots and things.
So although your house now has an urban center, the surrounding steppes host many nomad kin clans. At the start of each season, gain surplus scouts if you don't have it already, and you will know if invaders enter the steppe. Do you want to put a small town somewhere on the steppe, or do you want to adopt the one we already have in that vicinity, Zernagrad?
No, because of the history there. I think I kind of like the idea of, I'll put one on here, but I kind of like this idea of it's a town, but you know how it, historically they would have a center, but it kind of ebbs and flows with the the coming of the clans and stuff. So
yeah.
I'm going to put a small town, and I will apologize up front if I blow up the map doing this, since I haven't played with
well, I mean, you tell me where and I'll just put it down.
I think I got it here.
You got it? Okay.
Going right up at this bend of right along this river here, right there. And give me, I don't think I want it, probably doesn't need to be that big.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'll tart up the map with an appropriate kind of image later on.
I'll think of a town here or a name here shortly, and I will throw it on there.
Plan home. Okay. Then let's move along to Jason. I'm seeing you next on my screen. So what about Doctrine and Lifestyle? You used to be comforters with a city of pilgrims.
Yeah, I think I will stay with that. There was a bit earlier about you also, I think you can change your customs, or I think you're supposed to add a new custom. So I think I'll keep those the same, but I did add a new custom, I think capturing this idea of this sort of totalitarian haunted state. I've got a new custom: Inquisitors defend against evil spirits and enforce the scriptures. So now we have these Inquisitors traveling around, making sure everyone's safe and also following the church's laws. And then do you want me to add something to the map part now too?
Yes. Well, no, I'm coming around to the map last. I'm interested in Doctrine and Lifestyle, then we'll come around for the map.
I think those will stay the same.
Okay, fine. Let me go next to Dan, Chisel Mallet. doctrine and lifestyle?
I did have a question. So my doctrine was resilient infrastructure, which meant that if a project fails, recover one of the donated surpluses.
Okay. Do
And
you want raw materials?
I'd like my marble back.
You can have your marble back.
Does that mean I lose that marble, or does it just create new marble?
I think it creates new marble.
Okay.
You know, this is, you know, other marble arrived at the site in the last 20 years that the Chisel Mallet has claimed.
I'm just
And also
picturing
there's
these guys
probably
like,
some slack marble emerging as the great city shrinks. So,
Right,
you know, reusing building stone and stuff. So
would you say that's dispersed, or can I consolidate it at the quarry?
you can put it, you new surplus, put it where you like, or
Okay,
disperse
it's
it
at
up
the
to you.
quarry. I'm just picturing these guys sort of resentfully gathering up these things. But that being said, I think I did want to change my doctrine,
Okay.
because we're so sick of these group projects, to the beauty for all the world to see. I'm going to, once per age, I can present the house with a beautiful work of craftsmanship and give them surplus and gain influence over them.
Okay.
I kind of want to, I never took advantage of craft for every season, so I'm going to keep that.
Okay, fine. Yeah, actually, I'd forgotten all about that. It's pretty much a move, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, then, and finally, Alex, what about the curse doctrine? Communal solidarity was where you were, and lifestyle was stand proud.
Made me realize that I haven't thought about these since our first session, which makes me feel like Free from the Yoke is rivaling, you know, games like Pathfinder in terms of complexity, and things that you need to keep track of. You know, it's not stacking bonuses as in Pathfinder, but it is various moves and pluses and minuses that you can take.
To quote our friend Lowell Francis, there is a metric shit ton of moves in this game.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't used this at all, and so I'm going to keep it.
Okay.
Because I haven't used it yet. And in terms of lifestyle, I'm a little confused. The no fixed abode lifestyle, it says that at the start of each session, say what settlement you've moved into, but isn't that the contradiction to no fixed abode?
I think it, well, I suppose what it means is that you move about session on session. So, you know, we don't live here, but we're living here at the moment.
Okay.
Would be the way I see that working. Unless, you know, unless you've got a better fictional hook to put it on.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch to insular communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the final bit of Turning the Ages, well, almost the final bit, update the geography. Go around the table, each player adding one new threat, opportunity, or faction. And so, Alex, you know, if you wanted to add a different faction of the serpents, for instance, this is where you could do it. So I'm going to stick with the order as I see you. So, Joe, in terms of the Horselords, do you want to add a threat, an opportunity, or a faction? A threat is something, you know, the army of the Imperial Dead was a threat. The serpents are currently an implicit threat. An opportunity would be a new surplus, unclaimed. And a faction would be another faction.
So I'm thinking about opportunity, and it's going to be the land on the other side of the river.
Okay. Okay.
Is it just is it mechanically defined as a surplus?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think land is probably the right one.
Okay. Then I'm going to put in large friendly letters on the other side of the river, just as an aid memoir till I up the. I'm going to put land over there on the other side of the river, maybe there. Just okay. So land is on the map as a potential surplus. The claiming for the use of. Jason, what about the Shining Path?
So at the end of the last age, that caravan of surpluses was moving to the top of the world. So I don't know if that would be a separate role or whether this would be the moment to use this, changing the map to create a settlement there. Like in the course of this generation, we've
20 years.
Yeah. So I'm imagining a bunch of like scattered agricultural hamlets, and then at the top of the world is this sort of like mountain with like a ruined monastery at the top. So maybe we've cleaned that up and we've created a a citadel of some sort. I'm imagining the Inquisitor's citadel, and settlements of our populace around there.
Okay, so I've put a little triangle at the base of the mountain at the top of the world. Does that fly?
Yeah, I'll give it a.
I'll put a hamlet in those kind of foothilly places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. And then if you want to come up with a name for it at some point, we can add that to the map properly. Dan, opportunity, threat, or faction?
I am out of ideas. I was kind of I was wondering about a threat. Of something like flooding or something like that.
Okay.
But
I mean,
yeah, I don't know that
natural disasters.
Yeah, I don't know that I've got any meaningful ideas at this point.
Well, what I'll do is I will put I will just put on the map where we've got a bit of space a threat that I will just call natural disasters.
Can I I don't know what would be causing this, but maybe there are avalanches in the Reach.
Oh, right.
Does that sound okay? I don't know what we'll do with that, but something is causing the Reach to shift.
Okay. That needs to be. There we go. Okay. Again, I'll use that as a placeholder, and we'll see what we come up with. And then finally, Alex, opportunity, threat, or a faction.
Just to be clear, the outpost that we created, the trading outpost, that you were saying that I could create a faction in that outpost, but I feel like we already, or if we just say that those are the serpents.
Well, at the minute, that's a serpent trading post, right? But they are the same aggressively, dangerous serpents they ever were. They're just using a front. You speculated on whether there was within the serpents some more peaceful trading faction. If you wanted to do that, then I would simply take the serpent out of the front of that trading post and create another faction called the Northern Traders for instance?
No, I like the fact that they are the serpents, and this is just a cover for them. That's
Okay.
I have an idea which would take the form of a opportunity,
Go ahead.
but it is I'm just wondering if it fits in thematically with everything else that we have created so far, but I'll just say it and then everybody can chime in. I think and maybe this is just my nostalgia flaring up, but I think that a opening appears in the base of the monolith, revealing stairs going down.
Oh yes, I don't care what the other says. There are now. I'm going to put something that says the monolith ... and the tunnels beneath it ... I mean, I don't need to forget, folks, that I did, after somebody described some part of, I can't remember, it was the insurrection. I did put the Temple of the Prophet and the excavations beneath it. So we have 2 dungeon complexes. Yay! Just waiting to be explored. Okay, this all looks brilliant. I think we've finished turning the age. Have we? Let's just have a quick look. Okay, now it's up to you about characters. So this is about rolling existing characters on and changing their playbook if you want to, or creating new characters. I said I would go with the characters who are sticking first, which sounds like Elina getting old and Cassie getting mature. Dan, have you given any thought to whether you want to change Cassie's playbook?
Yeah, I'm gonna she's gonna be mature, and
Okay.
being a relative term, and I'm gonna make her, not really having studied this at all, a lore master.
Okie dokie. I've copied her ambassador down to row 115,
Oh,
just
thanks.
so we've got a record. That will, I think that she, oh bum, is that the way it works? Hang on, let me just see. Can I go back to ambassador for a moment, because I think you
Yeah,
may
of
have
course.
changed it to lawmaster at the time I was copying her old, because I want to keep a record of the moves she did have,
Yeah.
so we can talk
Oh,
about.
I think I already cut.
Have you done that?
Yeah, so in the notes section,
Aha.
I added one of them and long memories.
Okay, fine. Okay, go ahead, lawmaster. There you go. Okay, what about Elina, Alex? Are you going to stick with the scout?
I think she's getting a bit old for that. I think as she ages, she leaves the scouting and exploration and whatnot to the younger people in her house, and I think I'd like to move her into being a factor.
Okay.
Factor was fun.
Again, I have copied her down the bottom. Let's see, range far. I think that she is not going to keep range far and wide, because that seems to me to be about how fit and practiced she is, and she seems to be getting on a bit for that. Hunter's Law, when you investigate a track, spoor, roll plus, I think she's going to keep Hunter's Law. Yeah, that's my feeling at the moment. And then, you know, you go and create a factor with the option to change from champion to rogue or outsider, depending on your whether you want to make that role change as well. Okay, Joe, where are you in terms of your new character?
Well, and we really only can have one of each type, right?
Yeah, I think I have to kind of hold to that one.
Yep. No, that's fine. That's fine. Uh, trying to think what I want to lean into this next season, because that kind of feels like it, depends a little bit on your character.
Joe, while you're thinking, a quick question.
Mhm.
Do I change Cassie's stats at all now that she's changed playbooks?
No, I don't think you do.
I do.
I don't think you do, no.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, because she's the same person underneath. What you get to do is whatever, again, because she's rolling over, she's already had a role as leader, outsider champion. So which one of those is still in play? Or do you want to open the rogue and play her to completion, so to speak? Oh, no, sorry. No, I've got that. I was looking at the wrong sheet. Sorry.
Yeah, I completed champion and then marked. I'd completed champion as a ambassador.
Yeah. And now you're going to go rogue.
Now I'm going rogue. Let's do it. I did pick another move for her.
Okay.
Joe, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you are absolutely fine. Whenever you are done, I have made my decision. So, I am choosing ambassador.
Okay.
And can I ask a question? So I'm leaning towards starting with the role of champion.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about bringing peace between two groups, is that just the houses or factions? Are they in that as well?
You can define that pretty much any which way. So this could be between the Riverlands and the Marauders, or a non-player character,
or the Horse Lords and the Serpents,
for instance.
Okay, just an example. Player knowledge.
So mark when you're sent to bring peace between two groups. Say who your contacts are in each. GM says what grudge is keeping them apart. Yeah, so that's what that's the setup, if you will, for that kind of mission or missions. Okay, so we've got Saruke, the ambassador, shaping up. Cassie, the lawmaster. Where are we? Jason, what are you thinking?
I think I'll be the Bogatyr.
Salah's daughter, willful and free-spirited, well-educated, but hates her father because of his sins. Oh, gosh. Okay. And what are you thinking of in terms of role?
Let me look. I think we will start with champion.
Okay. Okay, so I will be asking you, Mark, when you swear an oath to confront a particular foe, say what you promise to do until they're dealt with. GM says one thing that won't harm you so long as you hold to your oath. Bandits, honorable warriors, wild animals, the elements, thirst, starvation, all that.
Let's say we can spell it out.
I'll
want to go back to that? Okay.
I'll ask you that when it matters.
I got some ideas. Okay.
And you will need to select a new set of stats.
Okay.
So Elina will keep the stats. Yeah, that's all sorted. We will need to do a bit of backstory with our new characters to see whether there is anything connecting you.
On the subject of backstory,
Yeah.
Since some of us are keeping our characters and some are not.
Mhm.
And since our backstory applies to characters who are no longer in play, should we reassign those backstories to now apply to other characters, or how do you want to do
That's my working assumption.
that? Okay.
Yeah. So we have Eva bint Salah, the Bogatyr of the Shining Path. The Bogatyr is the warrior. We have Elina the factor, now former scout, getting on in years. We have Saruke, the young ambassador of the Horselords, the Jezdec. And we have the mature Cassie Onyx Chip, now Lawmaster, former ambassador. Yeah, okay. It is now on the hour. I am inclined to say that let's take until 5 past the hour, come back, and I think we are ready to start the summer season in the year 41 after the victor of the wise, and see what the wise want of you and your houses. Okay. And as we introduce the new characters properly in play, I'll ask you those questions related to roles, so, who the grudge question, Joe, that one, and which two factions are you looking at? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some quick questions about
go on.
what we're still doing, but we can handle that after the break. That's fine.
Well, if it would help you to have the answers now, so you can kind of think about what comes next, let's do it now.
By switching my role,
Yeah.
I obviously get all new character moves, but you said I keep the one
Yeah,
that I had previously.
I think that
So that means I only get one extra.
I think that yes. So you will keep. Oh, hang on, that's a bum. I thought when I copied down to the bottom that it would keep that in aspect. It doesn't. It shifted to the moves are now that of a fact. Have a look at it. I think you had 2 character moves. I think
Yes.
you're going to keep one of those because the other one was about traveling quickly around the country, and that just doesn't seem to fit with being old.
Yeah.
So let me dig out that move and try to make sure that it sits somewhere in your notes. Okay.
Thank you.
5 minutes long enough, guys? 5 past the hour. See you then.
It's hard not to find.
Okay.
It's hard not to find pictures. It's not hard not to find pictures like that.
So we are back for our last segment in this Turning of the Age, where we are going to kind of start playing rather than just talking about what's changed. So this is the turning of the seasons. It is the summer. It is the summer 20 years after the last events, i.e. the battle against the Imperial Dead, the heist, all that stuff that was going on. Holding court. So at the beginning of each season, the wise calls a conclave, calls on each house of note to serve them. Each of you is going to roll plus favor. We're going to see what the wise make of you this time round. So let's start with the Shining Path, shall we? It's been a while since I started with the Shining Path.
Okay.
So what is your current favor?
+1.
Okay, 2d plus 1. 11. So on a 10 plus, you were given trusted access to a part of their. Oh, hang on, I have to tell you which project. I beg your pardon. Sorry, I have to tell you which project. Damn, we're still not quite there, guys. So I think that given the difficulties of the last age, the wise communicate there needs to be transformation. There is something about the nation's culture that the Arbiter wishes to alter through education or chastisement incentives, or strong-armed oppression. They will try to reshape your society. Because what is clear is that the wise are unhappy with us, is what the listeners to the wise collectively say. The last 20 years have not gone well. In the 20 years after the rebellion, we made great progress. And then suddenly, the last 20 years, we've stood still or gone backwards. There is confusion in the land, and we have less control than we used to have. So, what does the Arbiter want to change? Shining Path?
What does the Arbiter want to change? Something about danger goes what's without it. Well, this leads from what was going on with my house, but maybe I'll throw out there, get rid of all these evil spirits that roam the land, something like that.
Okay, get rid of the evil spirits, evil spirits that roam the land. In terms of the Chisel and Mallet, Dan, this is you actually, not them. What was the inciting incident for this? What is the straw that broke the camel's back here that have led the wise to communicate a need to just get a grip?
I think there was some optimism after we defeated the army of the Imperial Dead. Okay, spirits are gone, but it turns out that the spirits are not gone. They're just dissipated. And we're starting to see some of the trees in the groves wither.
Oh.
And maybe it's even more subtle, like just the leaves are falling from the trees.
Okay.
Having nothing to do with the Rings of Power series.
It did occur to me as I was saying it out loud. Yes.
Some of the trees of the groves of the wise are, ill is the wrong word, are
Actually, it was good. I like that.
sickening.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, who is being celebrated as the wise's ideal subject or subjects? Who are the people we're aiming to be?
Well, I think that has to be the Chisel and Mallet, doesn't it?
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, they're the ones that have stood up for the wise the most.
Well,
And
other than the cursed.
Pardon?
Other than the cursed.
Well, but that would be self-serving. So, or maybe I'm just directing everyone else's ire towards the Chisel and Mallet subtly.
Okay, and finally, Joe, who is seeing their way of life become more difficult as a result of these changes?
I'm not going to say the Chisel and Mallet, I promise. Is it supposed to be a house, or is it more broad than that?
Who is seeing their way of life become more difficult? I mean, it needs to be sufficiently specific for me to know that they are under some pressure. I guess it could be farmers.
Who is seeing their way, and is it related to the transformation, or is it just in? I'm trying.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's no question about that.
Game where you can hose the other players a little bit, right? Where
I mean, it does seem to me that might well focus the age in a particular direction. We already have the Chisel and Mallet being celebrated, and everyone loves the jock who's always king of the prom.
Well, anybody who has, I'd welcome any phoning from a friend in this. I mean, part of me is thinking, the Shining Path has done a bunch of stuff to, to be, but if that's been so subtle, right, that nobody knows.
Yeah, but remember, they do kind of worship a whole different range of forces and powers. So maybe the listeners to the wise have just had enough.
Yeah, I was also
and they're getting more aggressive in terms of this kind of, they used to be quite kind of cool. Now they're a bit kind of hardened.
Yeah, I was also thinking of a self-deprecating moment here with, the Horse Lords. The Shining Path has kind of gotten a little bit of a foothold in there and things like that as well. I will be the nice guy, the nice player for the last time in this season, and I will say the Horse Lords.
Or might we possibly say that the people who are seeing their life become more difficult are the wise?
That's a tricky one, because the listeners to the wise, maybe they're being persecuted.
Yeah,
Or they're losing their connection to the wise.
It feels like there's more narrative meat if it's one of the houses or factions or something like that, right? I'll take it. Let's put the Horse Lords in there.
Okay. Why? Oh, go on, Dan.
Go on, Dan.
No, I want Joe. I was going to change the subject slightly. So
okay, so Joe, why is this difficult for the Horse Lords? This kind of strengthening of the grip of the wise.
Because I think inherently they are a freedom of the saddle. They're I think they are just inherently kind of anti-authoritarian when it comes to that a little bit. And they are trying to, like, I don't want to, they're not physically withdrawing mechanically, but they are trying to, focus internally. And so maybe that's kind of why.
And also no longer available as mercenaries.
Yes. And they've had, land has been, they've had a fair bit of needs for, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Their land, they haven't, grown or anything. So
fine. So that's what we have.
I wanted to qualify, if it's okay with Alex. Alex, you had said that it was the Chisel and Mallet who are being held up as examples. I wonder if I can make that a little bit more specific and say that maybe it's the I don't know what their names would be, but it's sort of the people who know the rituals of the Chisel and Mallet.
The lore masters of the Chisel and Mallet.
I guess the lore, I didn't want to put Cassie in the crosshairs, but
they are the people who know the rituals.
The lore masters. Because they sort of have this earthen relationship, right? And that's being celebrated. But maybe there are other aspects of the Chisel and Mallet that are not as widely celebrated. Would that be okay?
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it gives me a sharper focus as well as we play forward.
One more interjection, and I'm sorry about this. I believe I've triggered the flush with resources move.
Oh.
So we don't have to do that now.
No, but we will.
At some point we should.
We should. Gosh. Oh, so many plates to spin and so little time. Okay, the kind of resources, surpluses that are going to make this a success are things like in service of the arbiter's social change, leadership, learning, morale, spies, culture. It's those kind of softer stuff rather than last time it was all about hardware. So this is much more the softer end of the surplus. Okay, fine. Now I can finally hold court. And I think I said I would start with the Shining Path, so I'll stick with it. And you did very well. You were given trusted access to a part of their regime. The GM gives you control of one or more surpluses invested in the Arbiter's project. I am going to give you surplus leadership.
Okay.
because it turns out the Shining Path are viewed to have this there's a degree of spiritual rigor around the Shining Path these days, and that's the kind of rigor that culture change requires.
Okay.
Yeah. And then let's go to Chisel Mallet. What is your current favor, Chisel Mallet?
If I remember correctly, it is -1.
Gee
I don't know why
whiz.
we're being held up as examples.
Because
where-
you're so, you never push yourself forward. You're always so,
Nose to the grindstone.
absolutely.
We rolled a 7.
A 7. 7 to 9. You have something they need from you. The GM picks one. They wish you to deal with a threat. They wish you to solve a particular mystery. They wish you, oh yes, they wish you to solve a particular mystery.
Of course.
They want to know, why are the statues less effective at holding the lines of power that protect the land?
Add it to Cassie's list.
Well, I mean, it matches that little bit better, doesn't it? Because it is it is more about the arcane. Okay. Shining Path hold leadership of the culture change. Okay. Let's go next to the Cursed. What's your current favor, Cursed?
+1.
2d6 plus 1, please.
Six.
Oh dear, you are beneath their notice. They don't demand anything of you, but others see your isolation. Lose influence on each other faction. So any influence you hold on anyone else goes to 0. I don't know if that's a bad thing or whether that's just taking your stride. The faction says the GM says, what faction is taking your place at court? I think the Pilgrims are preferred before you. I think that there is something about, that kind of middle management skill set that the Cursed was supposed to be good at. Well, that didn't build a road, did it? And so I think there's a kind of feeling that somehow you need some other people to get involved in this. So I'm going to say that the Cursed are supplanted by the Pilgrims as the middle managers for the culture change.
Sorry if I missed that. Who are the Pilgrims?
Oh, the Pilgrims are those that non-player character faction who arrived at the monolith,
Oh, gotcha.
and are now scattered throughout the land. And finally, what's the favor of the Jezdec Horselords?
We are +2, and I'm digging the fact that the Cursed became redundant, I think was what just occurred there, but they were laid off. So, all right. So 10.
10. Okay. On a 10 plus, you are given trusted access to a part of their regime. The GM gives you control over one or more surpluses invested in the Arvist project. Okay, I think that they are going to give you, surplus defenses. And the expectation is that you will guard the, that doesn't make sense. No, that doesn't work. Let's see. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. Yes, you need to provide bodyguards for the law masters of the Chisel and Mallet, because without them, all is lost.
Okay, so is that a
You-
surplus or
You get surplus defenses.
okay?
And no, surplus. No, that doesn't make sense. You get surplus bodyguards. You are required to identify warriors among you who will act as bodyguards to the lawmasters.
Okay,
And I think that might mean that when a lawmaster zooms in, a lawmaster of the Chisel and Mallet, that it might be possible, if you don't put a horse lord player character in, you could put a horse lord quick character in.
okay.
That would seem logical.
And so
given-
I would assume would these be dispersed or do we just not need to worry about that right now?
I think that we don't need to worry about that right now, but I think they probably are dispersed because
Okay,
they're
and
wherever there's a lawmaster.
okay, and just as a note, I had added, because at the beginning of the season, because of the lifestyle, I get a surplus of scouts. So just for record keeping, I've added that as well.
And adjust your mood accordingly.
Finally,
Is mood getting positive finally?
good vibration. So
Okay, so I do need to do one more thing in terms of that. That gives you control and says what the Arbiter wants done with them this season. So the Shining Path, you need to ensure that at least 2 boxes of progress are made on this cultural change by the end of this season.
Okay.
And what if you fail, you lose favor. You succeed, you gain favor, and add 1 progress as well. And in terms of the horse lords, these bodyguards, you must ensure that no Chisel and Mallet lawmaster dies. Yeah. Succeed in that. If a lawmaster dies, you crash and burn. In terms
Or,
of
well, I mean, could we say dies due to non-accidental or non-natural occurrences?
oh, I like just dies.
yeah, the whys
very-
are, you know,
very,
the listeners to the whys tend to be a bit black and white. If a lawmaster dies, you horse lords are to blame.
So even if they're old and they die.
I have to say I hadn't thought of that one. Natural aging accepted. But given that the only lawmaster we really know about is Cassie at this point, unless, you know, we create another lawmaster. That is our starting point. I am conscious that has taken us 2.5 hours. Which is kind of where we got to last time in session 1. I thought it might be quicker second time around. What I'm going to suggest is that I just rough out to you what I think is in my mind right now, okay, in terms of where this goes. I think that there needs to be a zoom in to the tunnels beneath the monolith, which involves Cassie the Lawmaster. So I'm thinking a zoom in around Cassie. I'm thinking of, I don't know whether the cursed want to have a crack at the pilgrims, either at the house level or locally, given the fact that the pilgrims are being preferred over them. I don't know. The horse lords, I'm either seeing a horse lord accompanying Cassie in a zoom in, and or a zoom in that involves some kind of issue with the serpent marauders or something. That's buzzing away my mind. While at the house level, there's that land over the river. In terms of the Shining Path, I think this is an interesting one for you, Jason. I mean, this depends on whether you want to go with the project or whether you don't, and whether you're prepared to shoulder the favor loss and the rest or not. But given your leadership on this cultural change, that would seem to me to give you an excuse to insert a member of the Shining Path into a zoom in involving Cassie. And in terms of Elina and a zoom in for Elina at the minute, I'm feeling that there is something around a zoom in that's around your needs of the cursed. Alex, I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. That's where my mind is at. I will sketch that out in the chat between sessions. But now, shall we just nail down backstory and then call it a day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me begin with, let's go to the characters that we know a bit more about. So let's give age its status by going first, Elina. Which of your backstory prompts do you want to hold up, and who do you, and then we'll see if anybody bites.
Do I want to hold up? I'm sorry.
Sorry, which one do you want to put on the table first to see whether one of the other player characters gobbles it up?
Oh, I thought the ones that apply to characters that are still around don't change.
I think that 20 years is a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, since you changed playbooks, the backstory prompts have changed. So,
Ooh, thank you. I didn't notice that.
yeah.
Okay. I'll just go down the line. Blank and I sat in judgment before, and I taught them wisdom.
Could apply to anybody who's younger than you, which is everybody.
I'll take that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just write in Eva.
Okay. Let's go from there to Shining Path. Which one does Eva want to put up?
Let's see. Blank and I fought a duel once. They won, but only barely.
Who wants to have fought with Eva bin Salad?
I'll take that one.
Yeah, fine. Saruke, thank you.
I would love to see that in a flashback. Sounds great.
Well, there is a dual move that exists in this game. Going down the line, let's go to Chisel Mallet. Cassie.
Let's do. I'll start at the top. I don't understand how Blank can do the things they do.
Who wants to be a mystery to Cassie?
I'd love for Elina to be the mystery.
Fine.
We do have a previous backstory.
Can you remember what it was?
I think it was something like Elina taught me something and I didn't listen to her, that kind of thing. And
yeah, that rings a bell.
Elina was sick of me for not
Thought that
listening.
she would never lead you through the wilderness again or something like that.
That's right.
Something like that,
You were a
okay.
bit kind of like this.
Yeah, that's all water under the bridge now.
All right, so Elina, I don't understand how Elina does the things that they can do. All right.
Oh, you know,
Yeah, I was
because
thinking that she's moving in more subtle ways, and she seems to have more influence over things that she didn't have influence over before.
I like it. We have a long
Okay.
history.
And Saruke, which one do you want to offer up first?
Blank and I have a history that is quite unprofessional.
Oh, another one of those. Young Saruke, who wants to have had an unprofessional relationship, unprofessional history? There is no relationship in that sentence. An unprofessional could be in all kinds of stuff.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Eva.
I actually am so happy you said that, Jason,
Mhm.
because I think that might lead to why they dueled, right?
Aha, yes.
Could
Yes,
be,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. Round we go back to Elina. Which one's next? Alex, which one do you want to go next?
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving windows about. Blank, I suspect Blank is stealing from their house.
You could very much suspect Cassie is stealing from the house because there's a lot of machinations in the Chisel Mallet.
There's stuff going on. Chisel is striking Mallet.
It's not good.
Okay. What about Eva's second one?
All right. Let's see. I respect Blank's devotion to their house, even though it caused me trouble.
Who is devoted to their, or appears to be devoted to their house?
It's got to be Elina or Cassie.
Yeah.
I suspect.
I'm happy for it to be Elina, but I'm also happy not to. I don't have to have it.
Well, I
like
mean,
the
if you look, if between the pair of you, you've got I respect Blank's devotion to their house, even though it caused me trouble, or switch sides to help me. Can I trust them? So, do you have a preference?
Cassie could very easily fit in both of those, given the long history between the Chisel Mallet and the Shining Path. So, Alex, I think you should choose which one you feel like is better for Elina.
I mean, I think the cursed have been on the side of the Shining Path from the beginning, because we established them as being, strong believers in the Shining Path as a group. So I think the last one, the switching sides to help me, doesn't make sense for me.
Okay.
So I think
So Elina, I respect Elina's devotion to their house, but Cassie switch sides to help me. Can I trust them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then Chisel Mallet. This is either Saruke the Horse Lord or Eva of the Shining Path.
Yeah, I don't know enough about either of those characters. I'm kind of more interested in I don't think Blank knows what I know what they did.
Last summer. Who wants to have a skeleton in their closet?
That might be good for Saruke. I mean, they're a silver-tongued ambassador, right? That they've done all sorts of things, right?
Right. And maybe our ambassadorial duties overlapped at some point.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then you can just put Eva in for your last one. I
Yeah.
want to teach Eva what's truly important.
Because it surely ain't the Shining Path.
Mm.
And then we come to Saruke. Eva is already in the slot, so this is Elina or Cassie. Somebody told me something that was great for my house and disastrous for theirs, or somebody saved my life when a deal went very wrong.
Alex, do you have a preference for either one of those for Elina?
no, one doesn't speak more to me than the other.
Me neither. I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'll choose Cassie saved Saruke's life when a deal went very wrong.
Perfect. I didn't want to be in a position to hose over the Chisel and Mallet.
C&M again.
Okay, so that is Elina told me something that was great for my house and disastrous for theirs. And Cassie saved my life when a deal went very wrong. I wonder if that ties into, I don't think that Saruke knows what I did last summer. Okay, are we about done? I think there's one to fill in on yours, Elina, which must be Saruke, yeah. I helped Saruke escape a disaster that would otherwise have been the end of them. Saruke's got into a lot of trouble.
Those young horse lords.
Just galloping here and there. Okay.
What kind of ambassador is she?
And just to be clear, am I right in thinking that Elina is the champion of the house or the leader? I've forgotten which one was the most recent. I think you started as a leader and then went for champion. Alex, am I right?
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Okay, well, I'll just line those out just so we know which one is still live.
The rules are very ambiguous about when I switch playbooks. Do I reset the roles or do I? It's very confusing.
It is. I mean, I don't think you do. Because I don't know.
Which is frustrating because my champion role, now that I'm a lore master, would be great. Mark, when you are sent to
okay, no, let's house rule this. You know, let's open up. New playbook, new role moves. Yeah, because role moves change.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Alex, leader, champion, rogue, outsider. Ditto, Eva of the Shining Path. Ditto.
I changed mine to leader. I don't. Yeah, I was champion. I changed it to leader.
Okay. And then I will start next session with just asking you some questions about those. Yeah. But I think that's probably as far as we're going to get today.
Can I ask, can I do my flush with resources?
Oh, yes. Well
done?
Remembered. You did remind me and I've forgotten instantly.
No, that's quite all right. I thought maybe we would do it at the beginning of the next session, but
no, let's nail it.
Pretty easy. So when my mood goes over 3, I'm at 4 now. Erase a surplus and pick 1. Trade it for information. So some of these are going to be so hard to remember.
Yeah. I mean, well, the one about gain advantage with reach,
or with grass, or with slight.
Yeah, but we can do that by putting a note into the cell, I think.
Hang on, let me just look at my playbook here. I asked to do this, and I should have looked at this before. I kind of like the idea of, since I'm trying to figure stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to finance a network of informants.
Okay.
With my morale. I think I'm going to drop morale.
Okay. So, let's see, finance a network of informants. Okay, let me put that somewhere where we might possibly remember it. So insert note. Right, I've added a note to your slide. So when you go to slide, there you go. Okay, right. So
Thanks.
and does that mean that your mood now drops down?
I never popped it up, so it was so it's still +3 because I have 2 needs and 5 surplus.
Well, I think we have to do that again, because when it gets to be 3,
is it 3 or I thought it was more than 3.
More than 3. You're right.
Over 3. Yeah.
Okay. And it is currently 3. You're quite right. Okay. Anybody else's mood? Everybody else is really not as excited. Everybody's kind of bobbing along on mood. Okay.
I don't know why we're so excited, but here we are.
New opportunities. You are the ideals.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do a quick stars and wishes. Joe, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if I had anything particular, but I stars to Dan for Gerel's ballad, of course, in the chat. That was epic. And also, you know, I wanted to star Jason because we kind of were in the same headspace around these 2 characters, and so I think that's going to be kind of fun and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when we haven't done an awful lot of, you know, with this. So my wishes are, I guess, just to keep going, right? I mean, this is definitely, I was super looking forward to today. So I've completely turned the corner on this game. So I'm looking forward to some scheming. How about that?
Scheming. Okay. Alex, any stars? I am conscious that this has mostly been working through the rules. So I'm conscious that there may not be much, but if there is, now's the time to say it. Any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, once again to Dan for the poem that scared the hell out of me.
Sorry.
You know, I think we're only months away from the satellites becoming sentient and raining death down upon us. Wishes. You know what? I feel like I haven't used any of my house moves. Did I use the Grand Feast at all? Or did
Yeah,
we?
you did. You did. Yeah, we had the Grand Feast.
I know we did, but I don't know what came out of it. That's the thing.
Isn't it just about giving people nice things?
Yeah, I know, but I just don't remember who got what, if anything.
I think everybody. I think that's.
I think you gave us all surplus morale. I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That rings a bell.
So I guess then I feel like I didn't get to use the character moves as much as I would have liked with Elina.
Right.
So maybe you know, I mean they're there for a reason, right? So
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe get a chance to use one of the character moves.
Fine. I will try to build something around that. I'll be honest with you. I think that to an extent, I'm going to carry on saying to you, what do you want to do? And expect you to create the fiction that would trigger them.
No, that wasn't fine. I wasn't asking for a gimmick. I was just saying, this is what I'd like to focus on.
Okay. Because I'll be honest with you, I can't remember which moves you've got. What about you, Dan? Any stars, any wishes?
Alan, once again, I'm just mesmerized by how well you're keeping us moving. And this one was really hard. I feel like we hit a tipping point here with I feel like we've been going really well, keeping everything in mind. And now there was just sort of this, with the turning of the age, there was this explosion of things to pay attention to and keep track of. In some ways, I loved sort of, okay, this is like just a very mechanics heavy session. And that's fine, because we're kind of getting things, it's like the episode, it's the pilot of the next season, right? We're just sort of getting things teed up for the next stuff. And it was fun to immerse ourselves, but it also felt like, okay, there's just, things are changing. I've almost lost the thread on what the Chisel Mallet is anymore. So that's just top of mind for me. Joe said something earlier that really resonated with me. That Doom move that we did at the very beginning was super cool. And I really like how they've written it, where there's very narrative elements of things that happen to the house. Instead of just picking one good thing and one bad thing that happens to you, you have to pick them as a pair. I really like that a lot. And then we went to picking bad things that happen to the Arbiter, and it got very mechanical there. And it just didn't, and Joe said it doesn't feel very narrative here. And that really resonated with me. I thought I'm really happy to play with this table, just stars to the table, because I feel like we're all in, and I'm just very grateful for that. I've played with tables where it's a little bit more uneven. So my wish, I really liked what Alex said. I've got some cool house moves and character moves that I'm going to try and lean into next time.
Fine. And if I say X and you think if it was Y, I'd be able to lean that way, do that thing. Yeah. Or tell me in a start of a zoom in or a scene, I'm looking to remind me of that move, because that's what I need at the moment. I think is even with the summary sheet.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. But there was one other thing. Cassie's got this kind of mission besides the zoom in that you want to do to explore. She's trying to make the space metal widely known. So that's another wish of mine. I want to try and accomplish both of those things.
Okay. We do need to try, because she's now a lore master, we do need to tie down the exact nature of that mysterious metal ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, any stars, any wishes?
Let's see. I think today clearly was going to be the session where we kind of reshuffled the deck, and Alan, good job, and everybody, good job, getting that accomplished. I think that was what we're going to do today. So I think we got to where we needed to be ready to go. Wishes wise, I think it would help me if we all go around, including you, Alan, and just sort of like narrate a few paragraphs of like where your house is at, what changes have happened, who your character is, just kind of like take all of these disparate elements and pull them together into like a little bit of a monologue that we'll each have, but maybe at the beginning of the next session to kind of set the table. That would help me a lot.
Yeah, yes. I mean, in terms of stars from me, patience, I think it had, it had not really sunk in to me quite how much a reset to zero, begin again, the age turning was going to be. I don't know how else to do it, but we'll slog through it.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the difference between the doom and the arbiter's consequences. I think the arbiter's consequences are a bit dull, if I'm honest, compared to the other ones. So my wish would be that we spend a bit more time on the RP next time and a little less time on the mechanics, because I was conscious of the clock and kind of wanting to get holding court set, so I had some idea of what the canvas would look like for next time. But I am conscious, because of that, we didn't really engage with what that was like. And so what I think we might start with is some RP at the end of next time, start next time, just about how do these characters interact, and what's their perspective on what's just happened at the summer court. Yeah.
I mean, I think in general with any role-playing game, there's always the back and forth between mechanics driving the structure and the narrative of the game versus the role-playing driving the structure and narrative of the game. And depending on the game, of course, that one is stronger than the other. So
I mean, because it just felt to me that by the end of session 4, we were kind of strongly in the narrative, and this kind of reset us to now we're getting all the narrative, all the mechanical ducks in a row. But I want to make sure that we don't forget to kind of indulge ourselves a bit next time, even if it slows down the pace of the plot. So that's my wish for next time. More RP. Okay, but for now, I'm going to stop the recording. So wave bye-bye to the internet. Bye-bye, internet.